This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Gunmen shoot 1 fatally in St. James, 3-year-old among the injured. A man was shot dead and 3 other people, including a 3-year-old boy, were injured during an attack by gunmen on the Goodwill Main Road in St. James on Tuesday afternoon. The dead man has been identified as Venroy Crooks, a 37-year-old musician from Content in the parish. Among the injured are the 3-year-old, a 57-year-old laborer, and a 34-year-old shopkeeper, all from Goodwill. Police said the child was shot in the right leg. It was reported that about 3:45 p.m., the 4 were among a group of people at a shop along the main road when a gray Toyota Premier motor car drove up. Police said 3 men alighted from the vehicle and fired several shots at the group of people at the shop. When the shooting subsided, the 3 injured people were discovered and taken to the hospital. A few minutes later, Crooks was seen motionless in an unfinished building in a pool of blood with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the upper body. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A white Toyota Lexus car driven by the deceased man was transported to the Adelphi police station by a wrecker. Police later processed the crime scene and recovered 16 9mm and 6.40 spent casings. No motive has been established for the attack. Cabby charged after assaulting woman for removing tattoo of his name. A 46-year-old taxi driver of Phase 3 in Havana Heights, Clarendon, was charged with abduction and assault occasioning actual bodily harm after he attacked the mother of his child for removing a tattoo of his name. Charged is Leon Reed, otherwise called the Nose. According to information from the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Communications Arm, at about 5 p.m. on Wednesday, September 7, Reed went to the woman's workplace where an argument developed about a tattoo that she had removed. Reed allegedly punched her in the face several times and used threats to force her to enter his motor car, after which he took her to his home. She was later rescued by the police, who was contacted by a concerned relative. Reed fled the scene but was later apprehended during a special operation on Friday, September 9. He was subsequently charged. He is set to appear before the Clarendon Parish Court on Thursday, September 15. Rastafarian blasts the government over mourning for Queen Elizabeth II. Prominent Rastafarian and businessman Rastafarian has blasted the Jamaican government for declaring a 12-day period of mourning to mark the death of Queen Elizabeth II of England. The government on Thursday announced that with immediate effect, all flags on public buildings should be flown at half-mast to mark the commencement of a period of mourning for Queen Elizabeth II from September 8 to September 19. A day of mourning will be observed on September 18. During the period of mourning, it is the customary recommendation that no celebratory activities should take place. On the day of mourning, the public should note that only authorized activities related to the day are approved and that all social events should be postponed, the government said. But Rastafarian, who is a former chair of the Nyabingi Administrative Council, as well as a former chair of the Rastafari Coral Gardens Benevolent Society, is questioning why a 12-day period of mourning is necessary for the late Queen, who he said is a reminder of British exploitation of African descendants. My questions will continue to be, what has the British monarchy done differently from enslaving, colonizing, and exploiting our people and the resources of this land? Why should we be mourning for the death of Queen Elizabeth II and going into 12 days of mourning at that? Why should we be mourning in any way whatsoever, he asked. I am not in support of that mourning. Elizabeth's eldest son, Charles, 73, formerly the Prince of Wales, has not only become the King of England and will automatically assume the post of head of state of Jamaica. But Rastafarian argues that the Queen's death should be an opportune time to sever ties with the British monarch as Jamaica's head of state. Now that she has died and formerly we had her as the head of state, now is the ideal time because they say that Prince Charles has been elevated to the throne. The inauguration, I know, hasn't taken place yet, but this is the ideal time to say that enough is enough. That is exactly what I would have expected, that we won't be having the British monarchy as head of state. We won't be having a Governor General here to continue to represent British imperialism inside of Jamaica, he argued. He stated that Jamaica should have taken the lead in the region to replace the British monarchy. Jamaica as a country should be setting the example to our Caribbean brothers and sisters in terms of where we go as a region. And yet, what are you saying to our brothers and sisters within the region and to the world that we miss Queen Elizabeth so much? What has the British government and the British monarch done for Jamaica over these years that we should be going into mourning, he questioned. Countries all over the world that have Elizabeth as their head of state are moving towards getting rid of them. Guyana did that, Trinidad did that, Little Barbados did that. Will Barbados be mourning? Will Trinidad and the other countries be in mourning? A senior official of the Emancipation Support Committee of Trinidad and Tobago Friday said he had no tears to shed over the passing of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, saying she was a symbol of oppression and tyranny. The Queen is a major symbol, especially for the British part of the colonizers. So to me, what the Queen was is a symbol of the oppression that we have gone through as supposedly subjects of the British, which ended officially when independence was declared in 1962, said Crawford Cabon, Director of Regional and Pan-African Affairs for the Emancipation Support Committee. Questions raised over legality of Meade's pick as a cabinet secretary. Lieutenant General Rocky Meade's appointment as Cabinet Secretary has been met with skepticism by former senior civil servants who have expressed a concern that it may not be in keeping with a provision of the Jamaican Constitution. Meade, the former Jamaica Defense Force Chief of Defense Staff, will also head the public service, the Office of the Prime Minister said on Tuesday in a media statement. The basic salary scale for the Cabinet Secretary, according to Finance Ministry documents of October 2021, ranges from $7.4 million to $9.3 million annually. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that Meade's years of experience in government will be an asset to the public service and a crucial part of his administration's thrust towards efficiency and service excellence. His appointment comes amid unfolding reform of the public sector and a review of compensation by the Finance Ministry. But questions are being raised about the legality of the appointment and whether it breaches Section 92(1) of the Constitution. That section outlines that the Secretary of the Cabinet, who is appointed by the Governor General, acting on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, must be selected from a list of public officers submitted by the Public Service Commission. If he has resigned or retired from the military, he would not be part of the public service on any basis, said Lloyd Barnett, one of the country's foremost constitutional lawyers. In order to be appointed to the post of Cabinet Secretary, that person should be a public officer. So on any basis, if he is no longer a public officer, then he would not qualify for the appointment, Barnett said in a news interview. Meade, who is to replace Ambassador Douglas Saunders next month, retired his army post in January. Attorney General Dr. Derek McCoy declined to comment late Tuesday on the legitimacy of Meade's appointment. De facto Information Minister Robert Morgan also withheld a comment on the rationale for Meade's selection. Morgan said that a press statement issued by the OPM was sufficient. The news was unable to reach Alvin McIntosh, chairman of the Public Service Commission, for comment. Meade was appointed Chief of Defense Staff of the Army in December 2016 and has been lauded for the conceptualization and implementation of several projects, including the Flight Safety Program, the Jamaican Military Museum, the JCF's Language Lab, Technical Training Institute, and the Farm. The former JDF head holds a Bachelor of Arts and a Master of Arts in Linguistics from the University of the West Indies and a Master of Military Arts and a Science degree from the U.S. Army Command and the General Staff College. He also has a PhD from the University of Amsterdam. Former Cabinet Secretary Dr. Carlton Davis said that there are questions to be answered about whether a military officer constitutes a public officer. It has never risen before, so I've never given much thought to it until this appointment, said Davis, who pointed to the provision of the Constitution which governs selection. He said that he was selected on the basis of his time at the Jamaica Bauxite Institute where he served as its first executive director. Saunders, who has served as cabinet secretary since 2008, is a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Former Financial Secretary Shirley Tyndale, too, pointed to Section 92(1) of the Constitution, noting that when the post of cabinet secretary was set up, the governing provision stipulated that the position must be filled by someone drawn from the public service. Tyndale said it was not clear if the military formed a part of the public service. She said that on the face of it, that may not be the case. The other issue in the international community: do you really want the world to look on Jamaica as militarizing its public sector? The public sector is called the civil service, which is completely different from the army. So we must think about perception and how the country will look drawing the head of the civil service from the military, Tyndale said in a news interview. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.